organisation called Tech Returners. I'll let Beckie tell you about it in detail, but essentially, you know, it started from the premise of trying to help women returning from career breaks or from maternity breaks to get back into the workforce. This being an area where, you know, whenever you look at the stats, it always sees, you know, women progress their career, they have children, when they, you know, they then either drop out of tech completely, or when they come back in, it's much harder for them to pick up their career and pick up the momentum of their career. And Beckie and the people around her have done some amazing work around there. So, Beckie, please come up and join us.
Can everyone hear me okay? Thank you so much, Maria and Emma, for the fantastic talks. And I'd like to say that I've not worked for one of the big four, so I've got lots of slides. So I really want to build upon the message, and you know, if Claire was here, credit to her. I think the whole talks that we're hearing are really building a story. What I would like to really cover in the next sort of 15 minutes or so around sort of my view around the collaboration around AI and humans and the importance of that around diversity. So just before I go into a bit more around the AI front, I think let's just stop and think around where we are in terms of software engineering. So I don't think I really need to stand here and convince you that having better representation in your software development life cycles will produce better software, you know, be more reliable, more useful and commercially viable. And you know, over the previous years, there's been a numerous amount of research around the impact around having a more diverse workforce in your tech business will have. And you know, Brian talked about the impact, and one of those organisations being the Tech Talent Charter this year, unfortunately, but they did amazing work, and I wanted to really reference in terms of some of their fantastic statistics around that impact that we can see. But does the same apply for AI applications? Some people might need convincing, and I'm not going to go down that route today because that'd be a whole different presentation in itself, but I just wanted to mention it. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the story. So we're at LinkedIn, and it's very applicable in terms of from a recruitment perspective. So we all know Amazon, and we can only probably imagine in terms of how many applications that they get from their recruitment process. So they set about in terms of how to make their recruitment screening more effective. So they started to build an AI machine learning model to help the screening of their software engineers, which, you know, in theory, you know, great in terms of obviously building that efficiency. But in terms of the output that created, it was actually picked up that it created more bias for women. So it's like, why? How can that be when they were trying to encourage more diversity in terms of their recruitment process? And what one individual actually identified was the machine learning model was built upon their data that they had in Amazon. So the input going in was that their predominantly male software engineering team was actually biasing in terms of applications and actually downgrading female applications. Luckily, this was identified. So, you know, somebody actually identified without it being too, you know, harmful to the brand. And I'm sure standing here that Amazon didn't intend to do it, but it goes to show the importance of that human in that process to identify that error. Just to go on to that in a little bit further, for this presentation, I went on Google's AI image, and I typed in pictures of AI teams in technology. And that's what came up. The one in the middle, I actually amended the search and added the word diverse. Now, I don't really see what's more diverse about that image, to be honest with you. It's a different diverse angle, maybe, I don't know. But that does go to show what we're actually putting into the system is actually what's producing out of it. So, where do humans come in? So I'm just going to give you an overview around the machine learning development lifecycle. I'm going to talk you through it, and then I'm going to add on in terms of where I feel the human interaction should take place. So those of you who work in technology, you will see something similar from a software development or maybe an AI perspective. So the first step being that the user wants to build something. So let's keep on the recruitment sort of life cycle. So I want to build an AI model to help me screen 200 CVs. Okay, so that's my sort of user case of what I want to do. So the second step is that I need to understand what data I'm going to use and what data I'm going to explore. So for example, that might be using LinkedIn in terms of their data that they provide on individuals, or it might be the well-known CV. So once we've got the data, then we need to select a machine learning model. So a couple of examples being Llama or GPT-4 that could build the AI model. So then this is where it gets interesting in terms of the feature engineering. So this is to decide in terms of what features that AI model wants to look at, basically. So given back to the example around CVs, we could say we want to look at the tenure of lifetime in terms of their job roles. How long have they stayed in jobs? And then maybe another one might be how many jobs have they had in terms of their employment history. So then once we've looked at their features, then we go into iterate over model design, and that looks at like all those different features and weight them. So what's more important than one, and what we want to produce. Step 6, we need to understand that, consensus on results. So hopefully the machine learning AI model will produce an overview in terms of a summary of what they found. Is it something that a talent manager or HR manager can read and understand? Step 7, we put it into production, and then 8, we keep looking at it and retraining the model. So you could say, as it looks now, there will be some element of human collaboration interaction, but we really should be going further. Now, thanks to Maria, we now know what an AI ethicist is, so I don't need to go into a lot of explanation around that. But I think the role in terms of the development lifecycle is to, first of all, even question whether the user requirement is ethical. Should we be making recruitment decisions utilising AI? And also looking in terms of sort of the law, the code of conduct, everything that we, Emma talked about as well, is it a compliance to that? And what I found really interesting when I did a little bit more research, we've heard about the 100 amazing women in AI. There was actually 189 jobs in the UK as an AI ethicist, but when we look in the US, there was well over, 11,800. So it tells a story in itself in terms of maybe where we need to go one step further. The next sort of human interaction, so I talked around feature engineering, so I gave you 2 examples around where decisions could be made. So one being in terms of how many jobs that person's had, and another one being in terms of how long that individual has stayed at a particular company. Now, if there is no human interaction or collaboration at that point, the model could bias somebody like me that's had a career break, or somebody that's had maternity leave, paternity leave, sickness leave, because there's not actually looking at all the different elements of that sort of data that's going in. And this is not necessarily an individual role, this could be just people being aware in their roles around the biases that the model could have, and actually have that diversity of thought around that. And then finally, in terms of obviously once that's been into, we've looked at the features, before we put it out into the test environment, actually put it live, a human actually looking over it. So it's fair to say that, you know, AI models aren't 100% accurate, and neither are we as individuals. So we need to make sure that we're working together to make sure that the model is looking at all different aspects in terms of what it actually wants to produce, so there isn't any biases around there. So hopefully that gives you an overview around how human and AI collaboration can work in the practical sense in terms of your software engineering. So I think it's been mentioned in terms of a little bit about where we are now in terms of, and I've put together some key statistics. So I'm not going to go through them, I'll just leave you on the screen if you want to obviously take a picture. I think the interesting one, when I shared the images for the Google, only 10%, you know, AI researchers are at Google, and then 26% are female. That might be why the pictures came out like they did. I think, but if I had to summarise all those statistics, I think we've heard from both Maria and Emma in terms of the impact that AI is having and will continue to have. It'll continue to make an impact in terms of our professional and personal lives like we probably couldn't even imagine at this moment in time. So I think it's key to point out that we do need that true representation in terms of when we're building those models. And finally, I just think this slide just sums it all up for me. Even though it's called AI, it's made by people, it's built by people, it's deployed by people. So it matters who those people are and whether they're bringing a wide range of perspective and experiences to their work. And I think that summarises the whole topic of conversation up, so thank you.